Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it's about the safest investment in the world." And real estate is what we do. This is the Realtors Radio Network. There's no sense in overcomplicating real estate. And if you're a first-time home buyer, an investor, or a real estate agent, you're about to get useful, practical, and smart advice on every facet of real estate. Welcome to the Realtors Radio Network. Now your hosts, Santos Garcia, Marcos Suarez, and Dawn McCullough.
Welcome to Realtors Radio Network. This is our second season, by the way. Everybody happy to be back?
Yes.
We are.
Happy New Year.
Happy everything.
Happy everything.
Happy Martin Luther King Day, Valentine's Day. Welcome, everybody, to Realtors Radio Network. Today we have myself, Dawn, Santos, and our special guest, Richard Montero, is a realtor out of our Woodbridge office here in New Jersey, and we are very happy to have you because we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yes.
So welcome to the show.
Welcome, Richie Love.
And thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for the support.
Thank you so much. We have been wanting to basically interview you because we've been curious about you. We know that you've been in the service before. We know that you've had a life before real estate, right? So
definitely.
You did?
He did, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So we wanted to dive right into it and ask you, what did you do before real estate?
Well, right before real estate, I worked for a major toy company, Montero, and I was an operations manager there for 12 years. But I worked for them for like 15 years. So before that, I just started working on the forklift, and then I was working in the warehouse. And then I just started just going for it and climbed the ladder pretty quickly in the beginning. But then I couldn't go any higher. And then before that, I worked at FedEx for a long time, just part-time though, just to make money to travel like Santos. And before that, I was in the military. I was in the Marines for 4 to 5 years. But I was a reservist that got activated. So even though I was a reservist, I got activated, and I ended up doing more active time than reserve time.
Okay.
And it was right before Desert Storm, and I got, I was going to say drafted. I got deployed to Saudi Arabia, and I was there for 10 months maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you saw some action.
So a lot of action, the whole thing from beginning to end.
Man.
Wow.
And then I stood. It was pretty short. It was only like 30 days. But then we stood there cleaning up the whole mess.
Yeah.
For like the rest of the.
Actually,
time.
I remember that whole Desert Storm situation. It was unofficially it was 41 days. That whole war lasted 41 days, which was interesting. But thank you for your service. I know you're always you're proud of your military service. So we thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the support. Yeah, I mean, at the time, I was really proud running around with the flag and everything. But then I kind of phased away from it, just to
focus back on your life,
being a human being.
So what made you decide? Oh, let me get into real estate.
So real estate. My parents they bought a house in '83, and then they bought a house in '88.
So not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
Well, I was still a kid, but not that long ago.
It was like it was yesterday.
But I was their translator, so I would translate every single document for them.
Wow.
So back
Okay.
then, I was really intrigued. It was intriguing. In '88, I was a teenager, 17, so I was more intrigued. And I always wanted to do it for some reason. I always wanted to do it, but I was always afraid because it was so many moving parts that I didn't know where to start. And believe it or not, I went to real estate school in '96. And
96. Wow.
real estate school dropout.
No.
And then you got back into it.
I lost. So then I lost a little track, and then I didn't take the state test. I took the school test, not the state test, and then I was around negative people that were like, "Oh, you don't make money unless you sell a house." And then old school thinking, wrong people around you. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna get paid unless you sell a house. You need to get a check every Friday.
Yep.
And because of that, I kind of phased away from it. Fast forward, I got into it in 2015 again.
Okay.
When my company moved, they offered me a job in Texas, I think it was, in all kinds of places, and I couldn't do it. Mm. And I had to say bye to them. And because I was getting, reference, I was getting
referred.
No, I was getting what's that, severance pay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I'm getting severance pay. I was getting unemployment, so I'm getting checks. I got nothing to do, so I went to real estate school.
Good.
Full time. Every day, I cut off my friends, I cut off my wife, I cut off everybody.
Oh, wow.
Well, the thing is, I had to focus because it was a lot.
Sure.
Right.
A lot fast. So then, it was 3 weeks, I think. So I took it full time. I would come home. I didn't talk to nobody. I locked myself into my own little world. And
so that's the secret?
That's the secret, I think. I think the secret is if you want to become an agent or something, just focus.
Sure.
Cut off everybody. Just come home. Listen, I was listening to a lot of the classes online because she sold us a CD about the book.
Okay.
So I was popping the CD.
Listening to that the whole time.
The whole time. I wouldn't listen to music, nothing.
Good.
So I got to pass it the first time, thank God.
That's awesome. And it's so funny that you talk about it in the way that you do, because I think that in the world we live in today with so much multitasking, mm-hmm. it's hard for people to really retain what they're learning or hearing when they're doing so many things at once.
Right.
And so the whole remote world, while it can be very beneficial to us,
yes,
it sometimes can be such a distraction where we're not focusing on the task at hand and really learning.
And that was my fear. I thought that I didn't think I was going to do it because it was so much. It was just so much. And I'm like, what is all this? What am I really getting myself into? Mm. But then I said the only way I can do it is if I just put on the blinders, if you will. And
I like it how you made it your priority, right? Like Eric Thomas says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful, right? Yeah. And I see how you redesign your whole environment so that will be your only goal. Because back to what Don was saying, now with the social media, it's like you have so many options, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't really pick a thing to do and stick to it because it's just like the next thing looks better. Right, the next thing. I'm doing this, but the other thing looks better. Let me just go and jump on that.
Right.
And what you did is,
it's funny that you're saying that because over the last, say 2 weeks, I've been having these one-on-one conversations with our agents where they have been telling me, "Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing well in real estate, but I'm also going to go do this job, or I'm going to go do this thing, mm-hmm. or someone said that I should help them do this." And I hear them saying like 5 different things, yep. not even 2, but 5 different things that they're going to go do. At 5 a.m. I'm going to do this. At 6:30 I'm going to do this. At 8 o'clock I'm going to do this. And I said, and by 9 a.m. you'll be taking a nap because you're so tired from all these other things that you're working on that don't have anything to do with the real estate.
Right.
Yep. Focus. It's a singular most popular thing that you ever hear any investor do, any realtor do, anything, right? A teacher focusing on somebody getting a doctorate. If you're a student, you focus on that one thing until you get that done. If you're not the very best in your field, stop focusing on a million other things. If you haven't passed that exam, stop looking around at what movie to go see and what club to go visit. Why are you partying? I heard who is it, T.I., that rapper, once say, what are you celebrating every Saturday night? If you haven't gotten anything accomplished, what have you accomplished? That you're going out celebrating.
Yes.
So I'm glad to hear you say, because that's a sign of a positive person. That's a sign of a positive, a forward thinking person. I focused on this one thing until I did it.
Yeah.
So you're listening to the CDs. Yeah. You're focused, laser focused,
and you passed.
YouTube. I was at Sound
There was
Ferry.
there was YouTube back then.
Sound Ferry.
Well, 2015. It was just reminding me when I first
2015. I'm talking
Oh,
about
okay,
2015.
When I
not the
first
2006.
when I first became a realtor. Do you remember we used to have to rent the Ethics VHS tape?
Oh,
to complete
now you're dating
At
yourself.
Blockbuster.
That-
Oh,
That was 20 years ago.
To complete
That was 20
your
years ago.
ethics training. Yeah, you had to borrow it from the Board of Realtors. VHS tape.
I actually, it's funny because you said investors. I got my license wanted, in other words, to be an investor first. I didn't want to sell houses. I didn't want to
Okay.
deal with people. I didn't want to, but then once I got in the office and like people are coming in and asking questions, that's when I said, well, I got to do this because this is, this I'm not investing money into. I just got to sell the house and then make your profit,
Right.
versus buying and flipping and holding it and stuff like that.
and you already got the knowledge, right? Like, let me
Right.
just help. Let me
Right.
just
So
help.
then I tried both for a little while, and I still kind of do both, but
Yeah.
mostly sales now.
So you in real estate. So do you have any hobbies? Like, what do you do opposite of real estate? Do you have any hobbies? Anything you do for fun?
I used to have a lot of fun. So
What happened?
Wait, is that what?
What, what
I had
changed?
enough fun for a whole lifetime, but
What?
so then I put that on hold.
Wait.
What?
Is this?
He can't talk about that.
I was
on
going to
this
ask you. No. We have to get into this now that he said he's had a lot of fun. Because we all call you Richie Love, but we call you that out of love because we love you. But did that nickname come from all the partying, or
No,
what?
probably from
Or is
partying.
this a MySpace thing? Because the show got started, we were talking about MySpace.
Yes,
Wait
yes.
a minute. What's that?
MySpace.
I'm just
Oh, you
kidding.
don't know?
Actually,
I've
we
never
did a
heard
whole episode before we're starting this episode.
Right.
So much good content there. Let's just make a quick pause and go back to where does this nickname come from?
nickname
Richie
Rich
Love.
Love.
Let's
So I would say that goes back to high school. I mean, I'm older, so I was in high school in the late '80s, and most of my friends were female friends. They were just friends. And I would be,
His wife is wild.
the wife is
wife, she knows. So I would be like,
Richie
I
was
would
like,
take,
he's clearing that up. It was just friends.
It was just friends. I said, they were. We were like the best of friends. And my guy friends used to be like, why are these girls around? You hook me up. So then I became like this.
The
Matchmaker
Cupid.
guy.
You were Cupid.
Wait a minute. You were a dating broker? You were brokering.
how much
the
you used to make?
matchmaking.
The commission, it was better than the real estate commission.
He invented Match.com. He is the original Cupid.
Something similar to that. So I used to, when we were like go clubbing or make all these plans to go places like Wildwood, I would be the one booking the room, and like my friends would come and hook them up, and they were like, oh, so I was the matchmaker.
You should have been like an event planner or
It was something like that. I wasn't focused enough.
He was the Richie Love. That's what he
was.
was. And no, he still is.
Richie
He's
Love.
Richie Love.
That's still his nickname.
Now he hook you up with houses.
Even in real estate,
That's
yeah.
right.
You
He's
gotta love the house that
matchmaking.
he finds you.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, my hobbies used to be, I used to play baseball. I used to play softball. I don't anymore. I think I'm out of time every day, every week. I have 2 kids now, so
Yeah.
my downtime kind of goes to that. But, yeah, I used to do a lot of different stuff.
Do you have any crazy real estate stories you might want to share with us? Any. It could be anything.
I think my very first week in real estate, it was around this time of the year, but I just remember it was freezing. Like I would go out and I didn't know what I was doing, so I would dress warm enough. And at that time in 2015, 2016, it was all broken houses, foreclosures with no heat.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And they were cluttered. And the first 3 houses I showed, I was with somebody. I was in training with this girl, this lady, Carmen. And these houses were like cluttered and freezing. And I just remember saying, what did I get myself into? Like what? Because they were cluttered. They were, one house had a,
Dawn still says that. Like, what did I get myself into?
Come on.
They had squatters.
Oh.
I go into
Yeah.
a house one day
yeah.
and I open the bathroom and there's no running water, there's no electricity, and it's just like gagging.
And honestly,
Yeah.
it can be a little scary, right? You think you're entering a vacant home, and then it's not vacant. and
Well, speaking of
it's
vacant,
frightening.
I opened one of the doors, and the guy's like, I see something moving, and it's a guy under the blanket. And I'm like, hey, what you doing? He goes, who is that? I said, don't worry, just go back to sleep. And I close the door.
I'm just showing the house.
Right.
just go back to sleep.
I'll let you know if we get an offer.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I there was another one. I had a listing in South Amboy, and I had an open house for realtors, so I had all the appointments at the same time, within the same time frame. And two realtors or two clients, or a client and an ex-realtor shows up, and they get into a fight. And they start fighting, like these big muscle guys start fighting. So I start panicking, and I'm like, everybody cool out, because I'll beat both your butts. Because I'm an ex-Marine. And everybody just freezes, and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are going to kill me.
Now they're gonna hit me, right? Like,
They're going to kill me. Luckily, the
man.
cops showed up. Cops showed up and everything.
Well, thinking about those crazy times, is there anything that you think that you wish you had known before you got into real estate? Like, I wish somebody told me about this, or any particular thing that you wish you knew about real estate before you got involved?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just I guess dealing with different people, different clients. Everybody's different, and it's not easy to sell a home. I mean, the clients have a million questions, the sellers have a million questions. There's always this kind of tense moment where people are just very tense, and you have to walk them through it and explain everything. And what you learn in school is not what it is in the field. So,
That's very true.
Yeah.
it's
Very,
cool.
very
You
true.
learn how not to get in trouble, right?
The laws and things like that,
Yeah.
but it's not about showing houses or maybe even the psychology of dealing with clients. And then
people.
in the digital age,
Yeah.
we're dealing
Oh my
with
God.
HGTV and all this other
Yes.
stuff. Mostly that's not, the reality
It's
TV,
not-
that's not
yeah.
so
Yeah,
much
you got
reality.
the Zillow shoppers that they think that what they see on Zillow is true. They think those estimates are real.
Oh,
right.
They think that they know it all because their cousin bought a house in the same area. It's like your cousin had a different
1982.
situation.
Those are Don's
Right.
favorite.
His credit is different than yours, and you have to
Right.
go through all that.
Right.
And I was just telling Marcos now how I have a client he wants to take a pause and take his house temporarily off the market is because it was on the contract and the two people went at it for the silliest little things. And it was just a scheduling thing. And just because of that, everybody was getting upset. Somebody backs out. Another guy's like, take it off the market. I need a break. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, just if somebody would just teach you, how to, I guess, psychologically deal with people.
I mean, there's a lot of emotions involved, right?
Yes.
For some people, their home has been, multi-generational, or been in their family for years and they're emotionally attached. We have that. We have the buyer side to it too, right? It's mostly their biggest purchase.
Yes.
So there's a lot of emotions involved, and there's a lot of, kind of handling that or maybe mirroring with the client
Right.
and just kind of holding their hand and walking them through it, right? That
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. Listen to the professional. We've been through it many, many times and many different personalities and things like that in different situations that I feel like we can give back to the client and sort of, maybe understand them a little bit better
Right.
because we've been through it before.
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely.
Have you experienced, any hardships in a transaction that says, oh, man, that was a particularly tough one or a long one? Like what's your longest transaction,
yeah.
just as an example?
I would say almost 7 months, maybe a little more than 7 months.
So that's, I
That
tend to bring up that question, with different realtors so that the viewing audience can get an idea of, listen, this is not, somebody was interested in a house today
yeah.
and I got a check tomorrow. It's 2 months, it's 3 months, it's 7 months, it's, somebody said 14 months, it's some things take a
7
long
to
time
8 months,
so that
yeah.
people have a realistic thing. Sure, on average, it might be 60 days, but there are things that happen, right? And
Right.
everybody's no one transaction is the same as the last one, right?
Well, that one was a short sale, and that's what I learned, that short sale means long sale.
It takes time.
Right.
Well, 7 months is actually kind of short.
It was a short
sale.
Yeah, it was a short sale.
I didn't even. That's what I learned, that they shortened the bank, but you're not.
Right. It's not a short process.
The process.
And so your longest transaction doesn't really mean that's your more challenging one, because sometimes it's just you have to wait. Right. So what has been your most challenging transaction so far?
I mean, there's been half of them.
Like if you have to pick one, like this is
statistically speaking, that's not that bad.
So to be honest with you, I would say my very first transaction, and only because I didn't know what I was doing. And the thing is, it was a HUD home deal.
Okay.
So everything was a surprise. Everything was new. It wasn't your regular retail home from a homeowner. It was the bank. It was the HUDhomes.com.
Right.
And that, I was just like learning as I went.
And there's not really somebody to talk to on the other side.
Only my broker knew what he was doing. Nobody else knew what they were doing. And he was, he wasn't around all the time. There's a bunch of, you put in the first contract, the normal ones that we do from the NJR. But then you have all these other paperwork that's in there.
Sure.
And you learned that the hard way just from poking around.
Sure.
And you're calling these, the bank and the people in Maryland, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to them, and he's like, but you didn't send this, and you didn't send that. I said, well, where's that at? And they're telling me where's that. So I'm actually learning as I go.
Sure.
Right.
And it's like walking blind in a field of corn. I don't know how.
Well, I think,
I get it.
Of course, when you have short sales or foreclosure homes, there's always sort of some extra paperwork and things like that you might not be familiar with. But real estate is definitely not a one-size-fits-all, right? Every transaction you can learn something from. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. There's always something that comes up, some new laws or something changes or some things that get discovered that, no one was aware of before time.
They were all totally different. Every single one was different.
Right.
I have this one client that I would say the best or second best transactions of my life, because the guy walks into the office and he looked like, he had the hair like Einstein and the big eyes, and he looked like, so somebody went
he
running.
He must be really rich.
So somebody comes running to me like, oh, Richie, I'm local. There's a local outside. Go get him. Go help us. Because they were afraid to take clients, some of these agents. They were just afraid to.
Well, don't judge a book by its cover, right? So there are some people
Exactly. That's the perfect thing, that this guy, I showed him that house. He says, I want to buy a house. Okay, what do you have? I have cash. The cash was in another country. It was in Hungary. I said, I don't know what to do. How does that work? I showed him 3 houses. He picked one the same day he walked in the office.
We could have made a TV show out of that. That's how it is. You showed 3 houses.
I showed 3 houses. He picked one. He walked in the office. I showed it to him an hour later. I said, well, I got to make the appointments.
Right.
Showed it to him an hour later. He picked one. He had cash. So then I asked my broker, how does this work? I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So he transferred the money to Citibank in New York. It was there 3 days later, and we closed in like 20 days.
Nice.
Wow.
And the beauty of it is that a year later, he moved his whole family from Hungary. He brings the kids, the twins, cute. A year later, he calls me, Rich, I hate this place.
You got to sell it.
I need a bigger place.
He gives me the keys to the house and all the furniture, and it says, just sell it. We're out of here. And he left.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Again.
But you got the client back. Like you got that.
I got to sell it.
So he
But
must
the
have,
only reason you got it back is because you must have served him.
Yeah, I was really good to him.
With all of your heart.
Yes.
no one else was willing to help him. So
exactly, they were running for him because of wow.
Richie Love, right?
Richie Love, people love him.
I throw on the Richie
He did
Love.
it with all his love.
The little salt.
Well, the rewarding part of this business is, not just finding families homes or getting them into their retirement or whatever it is that their goals are, but when you get to work with a client multiple times, it not only is showing your value and your professionalism and things like that, but so it's rewarding to you in that way, but just getting to serve them again is really incredible.
I have one repeat customer. There's been maybe over a year he didn't buy anything because they kind of learned the game and they're kind of like trying to do it on their own now. But I sold him like 20 houses. And
Nice.
They were all cash. But he would bring his family members. And, they would team up and buy houses. They would bring.
It's a very big compliment.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a very big compliment.
Yeah.
So what would you say sets you apart from other realtors? And when you have, clearly you're good at what you do if people keep coming back to you. So what would you say sets you apart?
I think I'm very diverse. I get along with a lot of people. I kind of treat people in the way they are. I don't I'm not the one buying the house,
Right.
So whatever, I can speak to Spanish people. I can speak to Caucasian, to Black Afro-American. I can relate to a lot of people my age. I can relate with people that are younger too. So I kind of like chameleon-ish.
Yeah.
Where you could just,
You
you
adapt.
got to do what you got to do.
You treat them how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the
Or I
the
adjust to their
platinum rule.
style.
Yeah.
I adjust to their style, and I could pretty much carry a conversation with any ethnicity or any kind of, doesn't matter if it's, even with Spanish people, I know sometimes we only stick to the people that the country we're from. I've sold to people from Peru, Ecuador, Mexico. So I don't care
Mr.
where you're
Worldwide,
from.
right?
Mr. Worldwide.
Well, I find you to be very personable, right? So sometimes in sales, and you can see this from TV shows to movies or even just going into a furniture store or a clothing store at the mall or whatever, where they're like kind of stalking you around the store, right?
Yeah.
And they're more salesy, but you have such a personable approach, and you're real. Like you're a real human being, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are so scripted that you almost feel like you're being sold on something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, and there's a different way of leading, right? When you're a business person and you actually care about your clients and you're personable and you can see the end goal in sight for their family, I think you'll get.
I think that's true what you say. I'm not salesy person. I consider myself a bad salesperson because I don't really sell. What I do is I just try to educate people on the process and what do you need, what it is you need, what it is you need to do to get closed.
Right.
Tell them step by step what they need, and kind of get to know them first. And
you're their tour guide in the buying process, right?
Yeah.
You're just a tour guide. You're not there selling. You're showing, right?
It's funny because we just had that conversation Monday morning. I think that's
Right.
exactly what
Absolutely.
it was about, and it like so many things
Kind of
came to
resonated
mind
and-
because I was
right.
like, this happens all the time where I see these guys. They're so worried about pushing the house, but they don't even know their client.
Right. The
Exactly.
Monday morning mindset calls that we
Right.
have.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Monday
that's
morning
true.
mindset. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was with another agent this morning, and we had a conversation, and she said, am I a bad agent? I told my client I don't think they should buy that home. And I said, well, why would you think that would make you a bad agent, right? If you see something that you think, isn't good or isn't what they're looking for, or you see maybe a defect that is something that you think they probably can't handle or take on, it's okay to recommend that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it actually makes you a better person to be able to tell your clients, what, I don't think this one is for you.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Maybe they're not looking to do that much work into a home or whatever it is. And so back to that call that we were talking about, I think that's, important. I think it makes you a better agent and a better person.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if people feel that you're trustworthy, then they are going to, they'll buy ice from you, right?
Right.
If, an Eskimo would buy ice from you if they trust you.
In the middle of the winter.
Yes.
In the middle of the winter. But, that's the whole thing, right? If you can tell a client, listen, I don't think this house is for you. I don't think that this is, and they realize, oh, maybe it's not about the money. Maybe they
Yes.
are trying to help me. Then that just goes another, it builds your relationship. It takes it to another level with that client.
Yeah, most of my clients now, they're all from the past clients. Either past clients or referred from a past client. Like I have a guy now, brand new off the internet client, and I want to say over 2 years.
Because they're all referrals.
They're all referrals from other clients that I sold to, or they're reselling, or they're moving out or something.
Don't you feel like it makes it that much more fun, honestly, right? It doesn't make it, because you guys know the same people or you can relate to the same things. And it's really, you know, it's a lot more fun that way. You can do client parties and everybody knows each other, and it's just amazing.
I never done a client party, but that sounds like a good idea.
You will.
There you go.
Don't worry, you will.
2024.
You will.
Do more in 2024.
And, you know, like with the internet and everything. I mean, I have clients that sold without me after I sold them the house, but I call them. I call them the next day. I'm like, hey, what happened?
Yeah.
But then, you know,
Because it happens, right?
It
happens, yeah.
It happens, and they were honest. Like one guy's like, look, Rich, this lady walked into my house and she sold me, and I was thinking about you, but she sold me. I was like, okay, that's honest.
Yeah.
I mean, she won that sale.
Sure.
Now you mentioned the internet. Do you have any favorite apps on the you know, either on the phone or internet, or any real estate apps that you just like? Oh, I use this internet app all the time.
Believe it or not, I don't have not that I have a favorite one, but I'm always on either RPR. I'm always trying to learn about properties and what's going on in the neighborhood, and you know, which homes have equity and which don't.
So you like the MLS ones? You like
the MLS ones? They're right on there. The
Yeah.
first page, you got 10 to pick from.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
whether it's RPR, Remind, actually the Central Jersey MLS, that original one, the Matrix. It's like I can navigate that thing so good
With your eyes
that
closed,
I don't even use the Rapatoni, but I have to pay an extra $100 to use the one that I like.
I don't know why, but that name kills me. Rapatoni. I can't hear without starting to laugh. Why would you name an MLS that? Of all the things that you could call
Rapatoni.
Oh my goodness.
That's my cousin's last name.
they
Just kidding.
they're out of luck.
Just kidding.
They butchered it.
If you weren't a realtor, what else would you be doing in life? If you weren't a realtor,
Dream job?
yeah, anything else?
I'll be a baseball player.
Baseball
A
player?
baseball player?
That would be a dream
I would
job.
definitely come watch you. I love baseball.
So, I mean, you know, when I left my old job, you know, being a distribution operations manager, like that was I actually did like it a lot, and I wanted to go to, but I don't like, it's a lot of responsibility. Not that I want responsibility, but you know, it's a lot of hours, and you know, you're dealing with a lot of employees, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different. So you know, I don't know if it was a dream job. I was thinking about this the other day. There's these two kids going around, and because of now, the social media, they became so famous. Two young kids, and they go to every stadium and interview the players.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I gotta look. I'll show you what it is. I forgot their name, but I follow them, and I'm like, that's a dream job. Like go to
Sure.
every
Wow,
stadium.
yeah.
And they invented that, right? They invented
invented
that.
that.
out of scratch.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what was it? Why did I do that? But then again, when I was young, we didn't have all this good stuff.
It's funny, yeah. People have all these opportunities. Let me tell you, one of my cousins, and Maria, I know she watches our podcast. She is a dentist. Like she went to school, she became a doctor. And during the pandemic, you know, there was that month or 2 months where you couldn't leave your house or whatever, and so she starts recording, you know, making these short clips and putting them on her Instagram. And next thing you know, she has 10,000, you know, followers, then 15,000, then 30, then 100,000 followers, and she ends up getting, you know, people to, you know, give her products to promote on her Instagram, and now she has a radio show in the Dominican Republic, and 88.7, yo creo que.
Oh, wow.
In case she's watching us,
There you go.
88.7, I think it is, or 0.3, something like that. But she's, you know, she's in the morning, she does her radio show, and then in the afternoon she records her content. And this is all stuff that just came out of the blue off of Instagram on the day that she was bored. You know, and you can invent your career. You can reinvent yourself. And you know, if you're a realtor, you can go out there and record a different clip of every town you've ever been in. You know, of every, you know, you can do this, and you know, it's all available to us, right?
Yeah.
If you just stay focused on your business, stay a little creative, my goodness, there's no telling what you could do these days.
That's true.
And it's great.
Yeah, I shy away from social media. I know it's something that we need in our business. I know it's something that, you know, those guys are probably going to do a lot more sales, and I'm slowly trying to get into it. It's just been tough just because I wasn't really born with that, you know. But yeah, like those kids, like it's incredible all the stuff they can do. And like now, you know, you translate it to real estate, there's a lot that can be done. Like I was telling my daughter about this. I said, you got to start helping me out here. I mean, you know, I'm trying to pay for your college.
Hey, show me how to do this.
So she pulls up like these realtors on TikTok and Instagram that have like millions of followers, and all they do is just like give out, you know, they're just constantly giving out information of like top 3 reasons why you should, you know,
Get a home inspection.
get a home inspection.
Yeah.
By the
Something
way,
like that.
we're going to have a social media class here in the office in about 2 weeks.
Well,
I
I'll be
already
here.
spoke to I spoke
be
to,
here.
to somebody.
It
so-
should be a series, maybe like social media for dummies.
we're
and
going
then
to start.
I'm not saying that about you,
No,
but
no,
It's
no,
actually
I
it's a
know.
2-part class for beginner and then intermediate, so you can start getting. We have that.
let me
coming.
take that back
I already
for
s-
beginners.
No,
There you
no,
go.
there's
With
books
the-
like
for
that, and
dummies.
actually those are the best books.
That was a whole series.
yeah,
you
it's a whole
you
series.
could learn languages for dummies,
I learned how to
all
use
kinds of
Word
stuff.
on that.
So we usually
Wow.
when we're this far into the show, we like to ask rapid fire questions, like between a couple of things. Let's say, are you a Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks type of person?
Oh, is that real?
Yeah, that's a real.
That's a real
Dunkin'
quick-
Donuts.
All right.
Wait, you're a dunk king?
Dunkin', you saw that?
Oh, that was the best. The Super Bowl
was
commercial was
funny.
amazing.
That
You
weird.
can no longer buy the tracksuit though. It is sold out.
They sold out in
They're
19
sold out.
minutes. I just read
They're
them.
sold out. We'll wear that.
Do
anyway.
you prefer lunch in the car or in a restaurant?
If I'm working in the car, because I keep going, but
Yeah.
I'd rather sit in a restaurant. And
Most realtors say.
But
in
you're a
the
realtor,
car.
right? Yeah, so
You're
you're
a
not taking
realtor.
the car. We've perfected
He's a real.
eating in the car.
What's your favorite lunch food?
ooh, if I had time, Italian food, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
not Dominican food. I thought you were gonna say Dominican food.
Dominican food.
Yeah,
He
you have that
like-
at home. You don't need that.
Everything,
He likes mango,
So
but that's in the
Italian.
morning, right?
I can't even. Yeah, I not. No, I eat Dominican. I eat it all the time. So
Yeah.
If I
Favorite
go out,
vacation spot?
ooh, I would say Dominican Republic only because I go there a lot.
Yeah.
So like,
But
Samana
where?
or Punta
Okay.
Cana.
I'm
Samana.
surprised because before the show we were just having a conversation about traveling outside, and he was telling me that he used to travel a lot,
I used to travel a lot. Yeah,
like to
but-
different places, right?
But I guess it's just easier over there. Everything's easier, and the money goes longer.
Right.
You feel
Yeah,
you feel
it
at
goes a long
home,
way.
right?
So if it's familiar, sometimes that just is
Yes.
a better feeling.
Yeah.
Than
Yeah, it's good. Like
It feels el patio, right? Like el patio.
yeah, like
Yeah.
El patio. Yeah.
How about favorite town in New Jersey? Any town?
Ooh, favorite town in New Jersey. Believe it or not, I like the shore. So maybe like down by Seaside Heights over there.
Okay. And we never like to end any show. We're almost at the end here, and we like to ask the realtors that come on what towns you service. Like, but what towns do you feel comfortable? I like to work in this town. Like to work in, or it could be a whole,
or county or
Yeah,
this
so I
area.
mostly do Middlesex County. It's like my number one go-to because I live there.
Okay.
So I sold most of my homes in Perth Amboy, Woodbridge. I've done some in Old Bridge. I've done Edison, Sayreville. So anything Middlesex County, I'm very familiar with. I could just, sometimes I don't even have to map it out. I could just get there without
Right.
without Google.
So you're not map questing your home.
MapQuest.
I used to,
My
Guys,
goodness.
when I started, we had to print out like from house number 1 to house number 2,
yeah.
and if you had a client that said, "I really don't want to see that house,"
Then
What
have
do
to
you- what do
figure
you
it out.
do? Or if
did
there's
you
a
still
detour,
drive? Did you still
there's
drive to
some
the first or the
navigation.
second house?
So now you have to say, well, let's maybe just drive by.
Exactly.
Just in
Let's
case,
just pass
'cause
by.
otherwise you won't know how to get.
But you know what the
The
crazy
struggle
parts
was
were?
real back then.
Sometimes MapQuest would give me circular
Yes.
directions where I would get on the parkway and have me get off and then get back on, get off and get
And
back
your
on.
client's
and I'm like,
following
oh
you.
my! I went through this twice already,
Uh-oh.
and somebody's following me.
I can't do that.
That was
Thing-
real
MapQuest-
pain. That was
MapQuest
real pain.
it was terrible at the beginning. Oh, it was
But
terrible.
you want to know something? Even with my navigation now, every now and again, only when a client is following me, of course.
Of course.
Does it like take you on a jug handle and like you're kind of, it's so
I tried
embarrassing.
to never get them to follow me. I always say, meet me there.
Meet me
Because-
there, right?
Meet me there because there's some people. There was a lady the other day trying to follow. She was driving 5 miles per hour, even on the highway. I was
Wow.
like, what is this
I
lady
do have a
doing?
quick
I was
funny-
getting nervous.
I do have a quick funny story about that. One time, one of my clients was following me, and I saw them turn off. I'm like, well, maybe they know a different way to get to the house. And so I'm at the house and I'm waiting, and he finally calls me and he's like, "Are you in the Walmart parking lot?" And I'm like, "No, I'm at the house. I'm waiting for you." And he said, "Oh my goodness, I must have followed the wrong car."
Oh no.
And he was waiting in there. He just saw, a white car, and he was following it. And
Oh,
I
my
tried not to
goodness.
laugh. It was a little funny though.
Well,
is
one thing I
hilarious.
did learn one time. Well, Google is really good when you plug in the address and
Sure,
you can move it
sure,
around.
yep.
And
Sure.
It'll
I started
optimize it.
scheduling. I started scheduling because of a hard lesson I learned. I started scheduling, the route
Sure.
of where you're going. In a seamless kind of one-way route.
Right.
One time when I wasn't doing that, and this is why I started doing it, I showed a house like across the street, and I drove to the second showing, which was like 30 minutes away, and the third showing was across the street.
Oh, no.
It wasn't the same street name, so I would have known that. But it was
Right,
like
like right over there.
So
Oh,
what
my
was
goodness.
what was your excuse?
There was none.
You just told the client. "Hey, no."
I'll say though, in all fairness, sometimes as hard as we try to do things, to
Efficiently,
optimize it
yeah.
or do it efficiently, sometimes one person can only a seller can only show at this time, and then the other seller can only show at that time, and
So
you might
that
need to
does
put
happen.
another house in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens too, and that's the hardest thing about scheduling showings. Like you don't get your wish list, just
Right.
not just
Right.
like it doesn't work that way. Especially like when houses are empty, that's easy,
Yep.
because you're like, I'm gonna see that one. I'll schedule it anytime. I know I can go there anytime.
Sure.
But when there's
Occupied and pets
occupied
or,
and
Sure.
pets and
or
this and
different
that,
work
and then-
schedules. Sure.
Then you get bumped on one, and then
Yeah.
the other one gets confirmed, and the other one doesn't, and then
Right.
it's really hard to schedule showings. I mean, that is one of the toughest.
I
things
feel like
to
I've
do.
mastered it so well, but it's so difficult to really, you're talking about travel times, and if it's a newer client that you haven't gone out with before, every client is different. Some clients take 30 plus minutes in a home,
Yeah.
even if they don't like it or if it's not a good fit
Oh,
for them.
my God.
Some clients, they walk in. If they're not interested in it, they'll just walk out. So it's kind of, there's so much getting to know your clients so that you can work more efficiently, not just for yourself, but for the sake of their time as well.
Sure. How many houses have you shown one client in one day?
In one day, maybe 5 or 6.
How about you, Santos?
Oh, I have to tell you about this one. My favorite client. She still calls me. During the pandemic, there was a day I showed her like maybe 20 houses.
Wow.
I don't know if you have
In one
seen.
day.
Yeah, I don't know if you have seen like a meme of a guy that is showing a house and he goes into the house and he's like, boom, 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 boom. This is the kitchen. This is boom, boom. 2 seconds. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Really?
That client, that was her. She will go into the house. She will look at it and she'll like, let's go. I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then when we found the property I should like, she didn't even walk into the house. She was like, I want to put an offer. I was like, come on, let's walk into the house. I'm like, I want to put an offer. And then we went inside. She's like, I told you, put the offer.
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah,
A woman who knows what she wants. Is there
knows what she
anything
wants.
better than that?
How about you? How many?
I would say probably, definitely double digits. I would say most, especially when I have clients coming from out of state and they have maybe a little bit less time
right.
than somebody who's more local. That's where I'm going to show them. That's where I'm going to actually have the most number of homes that I'm going to show to a client. Otherwise, normally, if it's somebody local, they might want to see 2 or 3 or maybe 4 at a time if possible. But, maybe if I have an out-of-state client, we need to make the most of their time. Minimum, I would say, is probably like 7 homes
In one-
in one
in one
sitting.
day.
But
If
the
it's-
most has
if
been
it's
double digits.
double digits.
Like 10 or 11.
Like maybe like 12 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
The most
it's-
I've shown
it's
is
a lot.
16.
In one
16?
One day. Yeah.
Wow.
You definitely have to do like
Same
lunch
client? You're
break.
talking about the same
Yeah.
client?
One person. Yeah.
Yeah, one
same,
person, one
Same
person.
person.
Was it somebody out of
16.
state?
No, it was.
Or
it's
like
funny.
they need to buy something that weekend
It's
or
funny.
something?
They were very particular, and maybe he'll be listening to this. But he was maybe in 2002 or 2003. I showed this guy. He was the FedEx guy that would deliver packages to that.
knew you
to
were
that
gonna
brokerage
say
I was
that.
in. And I showed him houses. I showed him 92 houses, like documented 92 houses.
Not in one day, though.
No.
Not in one day.
But in one day, I showed him 16. I remember it was like, what? I was exhausted that day. But I showed him houses maybe in 5 different counties, and he ended up buying a house 2 blocks from here.
Oh, wow.
2 blocks from this building, right?
didn't have
2
to go
blocks.
nowhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's exactly actually what I would expect.
Yeah, it is crazy. I was like,
but
my mind was like,
sometimes it's, I think, and I always encourage clients, like, let's go out. Let's map different areas from where you work or whatever
Yes.
your commute is. And you do just have to go out there and get a feel for things,
Yeah,
right? Because a
yeah.
lot of times what you think you're going to buy, you end up with something different. And I will say, kind of in a joking way, but every time a client says, I absolutely don't want this style home, that's the one they're going to buy.
That's the one they pick,
right? That's
right?
exactly, that's just
It's interesting.
nature. That's just how it is, right? But they do just sometimes need to get out there and get a feel for different things. And it's important to remind clients also, it's okay not to like a home, right?
Yeah,
of
of
course,
Of course.
in the age that we live in, people have cameras and sometimes a seller's home, so we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. It might not be a good fit. But it's better for them to understand what they don't like about a house, because most clients are only buying one house at a time.
Right.
And so if they like every single house, what do you do?
that's
Yeah.
a problem. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Every single.
I try to explain to people, if you have a buyer, right, you have to explain to them, buying a house is a process of elimination, not
yes.
selection. You're not supposed to like every single house. Like, oh yeah, I like this one. I like this one. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. That's a problem. You're never going to buy a house
Yes.
if you like all of them.
Right.
It's a good thing to say, no, this one I don't like for this reason. It's like, okay, tell your realtor, because that is going to help them narrow down the houses for you.
Well, that client that I showed the 22 houses, she was really good at eliminating houses.
Yeah,
she was
good.
like, nope, nope,
Good.
nope, nope. And it would be like less than 1 minute. We'll walk in there. It's like, nah.
Okay. Very good.
And the same token, like people that are less qualified or have less what do you call that? Less money to work with, if you will. If they have, between 300 and 350, there's like 1 million buyers. So these people are really desperate and they want every house. And then they're just like, yeah, tell them that's the one. Just call them and and I'm just like, you realize there's a $300,000 house. It's got like 50 offers.
Yeah.
50, 60
So
offers.
I will say,
And
just to
then-
be fair, though, that a number of years ago in a different real estate market, you could show somebody a house and they'd say, I want it. And they would get
In
it.
those
And that
days,
was
yeah.
it. There was no other competition.
Well, that's recorded into people's brains, though. So you have to kind of educate them a little bit,
Yeah.
and then remind them, oh, that's a different market. Things don't
Right.
work like
Different
that
market.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
I do miss that a little bit. I
Yeah.
do miss, especially just because it's not a great feeling when you show a client a house and they love
yeah.
it, and,
And they can't
they
get
might
it.
not
Well,
be able
that's
to
what's
compete.
great about you get clients that are a little higher, and they can actually afford higher, and like
They have
like
a
in my
little more
area,
option
anybody over in the 500 to 600, I'm not getting them a house. It's like pick one. We'll
Yeah.
go tomorrow,
It's hard.
and
Right.
I'm writing the offer. I'll start writing it before I even get there,
right.
because I know if they like it, it's gonna go through, and that's the fun part of real estate.
Right.
Battling, a lot of offers and some top agents that they don't really respect the little guy, if you will, or something. Not everybody's different.
Sure.
But some of them they're too cocky. They don't even pick up the phone. They don't,
Right.
they don't return phone calls. They don't return a text, and they just feel like they're above
Yeah.
everybody. And you're just give me a response, and I
Yeah.
can walk away.
I think that will kind of ring true of any business,
Yes.
right? There's always, some better than others. or-
Right. But that is the fun
this
part.
isn't one of those businesses that you should be so arrogant to think that, hey, I'm not going to pick up somebody's phone
Yeah.
call.
Yes.
Show a little humility out there. But pick up people's calls. They're calling you. There's a good reason.
A little
So
quick,
just-
it's not going to work.
Right.
That's it. I'll
Right.
walk away. you
Right.
know?
Yes, and going back on those clients that probably don't meet the requirements for the current market. This is one part of real estate that I love, and it's the coaching. Like you sit
okay.
down with the client, you tell them, you explain the situation, you show them the market, because you're the expert, right? And you have to just teach them. So sometimes they think they can get what they want, but they're not ready. So
Yeah.
you sit down, you tell them, and they'll come back. They'll appreciate that. They'll come back ready, and they'll definitely call you.
Yeah, I've had some of those that come back a year later, put them on the phone with the banker and get them on the right track to get to where they need to be.
Right.
So that happens too.
So if we wanted to try and get you some business out there, if you wanted to, attract some business to you, what would you tell the audience? Where can they find you out there? Social media, or if you want to tell them your phone number or something.
Your home address.
How can they find? No, don't give out your phone home address. Your phone or your email or your
Yeah, so I was still working on building social media. I don't even know the name on there. But
Smoke line, just in case I want to send smoke
signals.
Smoke signals. So yeah, Rich Montero. Rich Montero. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, which is Rich_Realtor1 on Instagram. I also have a website, realestaterichm.com.
Okay.
And I'll give you my phone number. I do work a lot on the phone, so 732-486-9116. And I'm more than willing to help anybody who's in the area in Middlesex County.
Perfect. Mr. 732. Worldwide.
Mr. 732 worldwide.
Well, Richie Love, thank you so much for coming to visit the show and being on board to having a conversation with us. We really appreciate it. We had fun with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Richie Love.
Yes.
Thank you guys. You brought back the Rich Love name. That's nice.
There you go. Okay.
I'm having flashbacks.
So this is Realtors Radio Network signing off.
Keep an ear out for the next episode of the Realtors Radio Network, where Santos Garcia, Marcos Suarez, and Dawn McCullough share their wealth of real estate knowledge. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, review, and share. Find us on social media at Realtors Radio Network. See you next time on the Realtors Radio Network.